Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on March 2nd, 2015. And, building into the WrestleMania storylines this week, I would say, for the most part, I'll say the most part, because there is a couple areas, or there is an area where I'm not too thrilled with, even though they have some of the better, in-ring performers, and will probably put on a really good match at the show when they decide to, when they fully announce all the names. But, and I'll get into that one in a moment. But for the most part, I would say they did a relatively good job this week of setting up feuds, slow burning a few of them, and just getting things going into the WrestleMania pay-per-view itself. And I'll go off into the one area that I necessarily didn't really like, or I don't like the story that they're kind of making for it at this point in time. But though, like I said, with the people that they're going to put in there, it's going to be a relatively good match, and it should be fairly entertaining. So hopefully they get away from this portion of it and build another story around this particular match, and that's going to be the Intercontinental title ladder match at the pay-per-view, with Wade Barrett right now. And right now they fully only announced R-Truth, but there's obviously going to be 6 of them in there, with Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, and Dean Ambrose. And the reason why I'm saying I'm not necessarily liking the story that they're coming up with right now is just because this stupid hot potato stealing the Intercontinental title around storyline isn't really cutting it for me at this point. Like I said, the people that they have in this match have all performed in some way in ladder matches, and have done relatively well in ladder matches, and will more than likely put on a fairly entertaining one at the pay-per-view when they fully announce everyone who's going to be in it. So that's going to be entertaining. I'm just hoping they go a different route with building the story around this match, other than just hot potatoing who's stealing the Intercontinental title next. So that was the major down point of Raw. I mean, you had some subsequent storylines, them continuing like a little bit of dissension between Natalya and Tyson Kidd with their match with the Usos and Naomi versus Natalya, Tyson Kidd, and Cesaro. Obviously still trying to continue on with that feud as long as they possibly can. Honestly, with the tag team division, they're probably the best two at this time, so they're going to try to milk this feud for as long as they can for that, until they could get another team up there that could do relatively well. So that was what it was. You had a continuation of Mizdow and The Miz. They were playing off the storyline with Damien Mizdow's commercial, and like how Miz stole the spotlight, or tried stealing the spotlight, and then they aired it, and it was a very embarrassing commercial. It led from a very, maybe like an intentionally bad moment that kind of makes you laugh because it was so bad it was actually kind of funny, with how they portrayed the commercial, to a very serious moment with a stare down and Miz eventually slapping Mizdow. So I do actually like where they went with the storyline, though I would say the commercial, like I said before, the commercial was so stupid it was kind of funny in that sense, but it led to a fairly good serious moment, and hopefully a continuation here, and maybe even into, well, not necessarily a WrestleMania match, maybe a match after WrestleMania between the two of them, because more than likely they'll kind of portray and do something with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal between with the two of them in there. So like I said, relatively good moment in that, relatively good moment and good storyline development between the two of them, continuing on that dissension between the two of them. Still no full breakup yet, so they are still slow burning this one as much as they can. So we'll see when they actually decide to pull off the full-on turn, or when will Mizdow finally have enough and snap on the Miz. So we'll go. So we'll see how much longer they'll go with that. Another quick downside to Raw this week, nothing to do with the Dust Brothers. I like the storyline they had built through Fastlane in their match, and through the subsequent promo afterwards, and what they've done recently, but nothing this week at all. It just didn't. They did nothing with it. Kind of weird that they would do nothing with that. Hopefully they'll do something with it on SmackDown and continue on that storyline, because that's definitely a match that, like I said, the storyline that they made through that match was a relatively good one, and I would like to see them continue it as much as possible, especially if they get another potential one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Now, this is where I'm going to get into what I felt was really good about the show. I'll start off with Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. I liked where they're going with this. They are in a semi-slow burn with this feud. They're not fully turning Randy Orton face at this time, even though I did like how he kind of came off disingenuous towards Seth Rollins throughout the entire show. It's like trying to say, oh, I'm going to help you in this case, or this or that, and only leading to something that was potentially embarrassing towards Seth Rollins. Even though it's like throughout the night, it's like, oh, I'm going to try to help you here. He got led in, like at the beginning of the show, he's, you don't really see Orton until afterwards, but, you know, Seth Rollins gets punched in the face by Roman Reigns, and then you have Randy Orton in the backstage for trying to go him into going after Roman Reigns for a match later that evening. Again, interrupting the Daily Show portion with where they actually have Jon Stewart come on the show, which caused him to get low blow by Jon Stewart. So, not necessarily, you know, they kind of try to throw Seth into a little bit of an embarrassing situation, but not necessarily make him look overly weak. It's just like Orton's trying to play with Seth Rollins' head in this case. And of course, ending up at the end of the show actually helping Seth Rollins win the match over Roman Reigns, even though Roman Reigns does get his heat back right afterwards by basically taking out the rest of the Authority and Seth Rollins again. Overall, I actually kind of like where they're going with this feud. They are slow burning it for the time being. Like I said, it's more likely going to be a quick slow burn, so you'll probably see the turn relatively soon, maybe next week or the week after. And we'll have the match with Randy Orton and Seth Rollins going into the pay-per-view. Another area I really, really liked about the show, and like I said, this is pretty much going to get promo-wise very soon, and that was basically the promo between Stephanie McMahon and John Cena. Great promo. The next three that I'm going to talk about are all great. They sell their matches at WrestleMania almost perfectly in this case. You have have Cena going out there trying to get himself into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal after, Rusev said no and everything like that. But you have Stephanie McMahon coming out there saying, no, you're not going to be in that match because of such and such reasons, like basically saying he would he would actually demean this match in some way, and then you have the subsequent reasons from Cena to why he should be in the match, and then Stephanie rebuttaling that. I liked where they went with this promo. It was really good. It makes you almost feel there's a sense that they're trying to make the fans really think that they're not going to have Cena on WrestleMania. Even down to the point that it's like the only way he's going to get the match is if Rusev actually agrees to it and he changes Rusev's mind into actually having another match with him at WrestleMania. So, again, just a great promo between the two. Obviously, also leading into Rusev at the end, of course, making him look strong in that sense. Just great promo time inside there. That was pretty much the name of the game this week, was great promo time. So you had Cena and Stephanie McMahon and Rusev's promo in that case as well. And this one, and like I said, the next great promo was the Triple H promo on Sting. And, just the way they went about this promo, it was almost something you didn't fully expect, but I liked how they used Booker T in this case for almost an example of him trying to go after a former WCW guy, in which Booker T was, and almost making it feel like, he was going to they were going to take Booker T off the commentary in this case. And that's more for kayfabe senses. Most people who've read dirt sheets or anything like that know that Booker T's probably going to be on the commentary booth for quite some time at this point in time. But, just a great promo about Triple H, talking about who actually has the control, because you have Booker T saying is like, one of the reasons why Sting's probably never been in there is because he's no one's ever been able to control him. He talked about the NWO not being able to control him, Hogan not being able to control him, Flair not being able to control him. All those senses in there. Just great promo between Booker T and Triple H to set up more for Triple H and Sting at WrestleMania. And that leads into the final promo I'm going to talk about, which is, of course, the about the main event with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And that was Paul Heyman's promo. Again, much like Triple H and Booker T, and Stephanie McMahon and John Cena and Rusev. With the exception of this one being literally just by himself, he sold the match right then and there. I don't care what you feel about Roman Reigns or anything in that sense. He sold the match in that one promo, putting over Roman Reigns, but also putting over his guy, Brock Lesnar, and basically saying what Lesnar's going to do. So kind of going into the WrestleMania match with Lesnar and Roman Reigns, you have this thought process that it's going to be one of those, Brock Lesnar's going to just dominate Roman Reigns and then retain the title. And more than likely, of course, they're going to portray the match completely different. His promo came off so good. Again, he knows what many of the great promo people do. They just come off so good in selling the match, and that's what he went for there. He just sold the match so well. And of course, addressing the rumors that maybe Brock wasn't going to show up at WrestleMania. Of course he's going to actually show up at WrestleMania. If you went through what happened last week, at least in the backstage area, where Brock Lesnar walked out of Raw because of a dispute between him and Vince, obviously he's going to show up at WrestleMania, just for the sense of he's contractually obligated to do so. I liked where that promo went, and I liked how he did put over Roman Reigns, but he also put over what Brock Lesnar can do and what he will more than likely do at the pay-per-view. So it just came off really well. And overall for Monday Night Raw, promo time, really great, setting up the feuds. For the most part, like I said at the beginning of the show, I felt like they did a relatively good job outside of where they are with the Intercontinental title feud at this point. So hopefully that changes a little bit, and maybe the full show will become completely enjoyable. I expect the Intercontinental title ladder match to actually be a great match itself, but I would like to see them do a better job with the feud. They even gave more time. And I liked where they went with Paige and Nikki Bella, and you have AJ returning this week, so you have her in the mix. Are they going to do a fatal four-way? That's why I kind of hope they go for it as a fatal four-way match, or maybe a triple threat match for Paige, Nikki Bella, and AJ being in there. I don't want to see another tag team match between maybe Paige, between Paige and AJ and the Bella Twins. I would like to see either a fatal four-way happen for the title or a triple threat in some way going into the near future here. But I liked where they went with that as well. They actually gave them more time. They even did the backstage promo with Paige and AJ, and they even played off of the whole "Give the Divas a Chance" hashtag that happened last week with Twitter. So that came off really well as well. All the great promos between John Cena, Stephanie McMahon, Rusev, Booker T, and Triple H, and then Paul Heyman himself selling the main event match at WrestleMania, did a really good job there. So we'll see how these feuds continue on. And I almost, talking about those promos, I completely forgot about the Bray Wyatt promo on The Undertaker, which was also another really good one, leading into when will The Undertaker actually show? When will he answer Bray Wyatt for a match at WrestleMania? Overall, promo time this week, really good. Yes, a little bit light on the in-ring action, but sometimes they have this. Sometimes you have to lessen the in-ring time in order to make the promos work for the actual setups for the pay-per-view matches. So this week was one of those weeks where you didn't get as much in-ring action, but you got some great promos and great setups going into WrestleMania, and that's what they definitely needed to do in this case. So that's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.